join and then I'll start with today's session. Okay, like the topic of this video says that I'm going to talk about how to study GS2 for the mains examination for UPSC. Uh, okay, so let me start now and let others join later on. Okay, so guys, the GS2, that is the General Studies 2 paper of the mains examination. This exam mostly consists of 2 3 topics. Okay, so we'll have to see the Indian polity, we'll have to read about the constitution and various other things including international relations. The major topics would be governance, constitution, polity, social justice, international relations, and international relations. So these would be the major ones. What we'll do is we'll go one by one and we will discuss GS2 mains syllabus. Okay, we will see what sources we need to cover, and we will also see what questions have been asked in the past and how we should tackle these kind of questions. Okay, so this session on how to do general studies to for mains would be divided into 2 videos going forth. So today let's just start. uh, so guys, like everybody says that you need to read NCRTs. You need to cover them for your basics, right? So even before you start studying for GS2, you need to cover 3 NCRTs which are the most important, and they cover the whole gamut of the paper vaguely. I mean, they will give you a good base around it. So you need to do NCRT class 10, that is named Democratic Politics. Class 11 politics book, that is Indian Constitution and Work, and the 12th class NCRT, the Pol Science 2. So you need to cover these 3 books as soon as possible, like in another next 2 to 3 days, so that you have a good clear base around your topics. Okay. After that, what we'll do is we'll start one by one with the topics. Okay. So the first point in the syllabus, it talks about Indian Constitution, historical underpinnings, evolution, features, amendments, significant provisions, and basic structure. Now let's understand each and every word. First one, it says historical underpinnings. So with this, we understand that it is talking about the historical aspect of of our constitution. That is how it started dwelling, what led to the making of the constitution. Okay, and how the constitution was made. For this, it's simple. The source is very simple. We all read it every year before prelims, right? So we need to go through the Lakshmikant, and for that we need to read first chapter and the second chapter, which talks about the historical background and the making of the constitution. Students who read DD Basu can go through the first 5 chapters of DD Basu. It will give you an elaborate analysis and every fact on the topic. So this can be another book. Another book that people can refer to is Subhash Kashyap. The first few chapters of the book will deal with these topics. Okay. Now the next word is evolution. Evolution again would be covered in these topics, these chapters that I talked about. Then are the features, amendments, significant provisions, and basic structure. For that, let's come back to our faithful Lakshmikant. So from this, we need to do chapter 3. I am talking about the 5th edition. Okay. So if you have other editions, you can match them. All right. So in the 5th edition, it is the 3rd chapter, which says salient features of the Constitution. Then it talks about the preamble of the Constitution. So these 2 chapters, along with, it talks about amendments, significant provisions, and basic structure. Along with that, you need to do chapter 11, that is on basic structure of the constitution. Chapter 10, that is amendment of the constitution. So these pages, these chapters will actually cover the first point of the mains GS2 paper. Okay. After that, once you're done with this, you can also search a little bit. You can search a little bit more and check old newspaper clippings that old editorials are also available on the on the basic structure. So you can try and find out those things online. Or if you want, I can also provide you with certain topics. Okay, I can provide you certain research articles on the basic structure that you can actually read going ahead. All right. Now comes the second one, second topic of General Studies 2 paper. It is the functions and responsibilities of the union and the states, issues and challenges pertaining to it. Pertaining to the federal structure, then devolution of powers and finances up to local levels and challenges wherein. Okay, so first point is the functions and responsibilities of union and states. Okay, so with this, we understand that we need to do something with the federal structure. For that, we need to read a few chapters from our trustee Lakshmikant again, and those chapters would be chapter number 12, that is the parliamentary system. Chapter number 13, the federal system. 14, central and state relations. 15, interstate relations. And there's one more chapter on governor that you need to cover this topic. So these are the few things that we need to do from the book. Okay. Now, not only UPSC is not just asking you what is given in the book, but they expect you to analyze those things, whatever it is reported in the, newspapers, whatever the issues are being faced in the country, that is what they ask and that is what they require you to analyze. So, for that, you need to keep an eye on the current affairs, what the topics are going on. So, you need to see what is there. So, like in the past, if I give you an example on this topic, one would be cooperative federalism. So, that was quite a prospective question. And let's also see what are the next topics. Let me just quickly see. Okay, next one is the issues and challenges pertaining to the federal structure. Again, that this is an analysis. So once you read about it, once you read the current affairs, you go deeper into these topics, you will find everything available there with you. And also one good source and quite a critical source is the second ARC report. In that, you need to go into the 13th report named Organizational Structure of Government of India. So you need to read that also. And also, there's another report that talks about the devolution of finances up to local levels. There's another report by second ARC that you can find, and you can go through that. So it is very easy. And for that, for this topic, devolution of powers and finances, you again need to get into the reading of the book, right? So please have a look at the finance commission and state finance commission and how the funds are divided between various states and everything. So you need to look into that and kindly refer to the second ARC, because it is going to give you a lot of information, a lot of critical analysis and everything on the topic. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, that is the separation of powers between various organs, dispute redressal mechanism, and institutions. So this is quite an important and as well as interesting topic. In this, what we need to do, the basics would be the public grievances and redressal mechanisms, whichever are actually available with us in the book. So we need to do that. Also, we need to read about what are the various organs of the government system in our country. So various organs would be what? The executives, the legislature, the non-constitutional bodies, the judiciary. So we need to look into what these are. We need to first of all read the basics. We need to know about parliament. We need to know about the state legislature. We need to see how our judiciary works, what are the powers and the organs that are available for us. And also we need to see the constitutional and non-constitutional bodies of India, which are of significant importance. So you read that from our trustee Lakshmikant again, or if you have DD Basu or Subhash Kashyap, you can pick up any book and you can read through it. So first you gather the basic information in this. Then what you need to do is then you pick up the ARC report, the second ARC seventh report on capacity building for conflict resolution, in which there are various topics and issues that have been discussed, like left wing extremism, then land water related issues, the SC/ST issue, religious conflicts, etc. They have been given in that, so you can read through it, and later you can also scan some constitutional, non-constitutional bodies and what the problems have been associated with that. I'll also, discuss one question with you. In 2018 mains newspaper, there was a question as whether the Supreme Court judgment of July 18 can settle the political tussle between Lieutenant Governor and elected government of Delhi. So that's one question that can be under this topic. And there was another one on the tribunals. That Okay, so there was a high tribunalization in the country, right? This one. How far do you agree with the view that tribunals curtail the judiciary jurisdiction of ordinary court? In view of above, discuss the constitutional validity and competency of tribunals in India. So these kind of questions can be asked. Whatever is happening currently around us can be asked, and they are mostly asked. So this paper in 2018 mostly had the topics which were going around. And then one more from the last one. There was another question that talked about finance commission, so that was purely from the book. If anybody would have read it properly, could have answered that question. So they just talked about, they asked about finance commission, what are its terms of reference, and how is finance commission constituted. So that question was for 15 marks, in which 250 words were to be written. So if we are thorough with our basics, we can definitely go through this paper very easily, and nobody would be stopping you in between, and you will get good marks also. Then the next topic is comparison of Indian constitutional schemes with that of other countries. So on this, various institutes have actually prepared their notes. You can refer to our notes also. We have one chapter on this, on the comparison of the constitutions of other countries in India. But there's a very famous book by S. Chand, which is named Select Constitutions of the World, which is usually studied by law students, but for this topic it can be referred. Okay, so far I've seen that not much questions have been asked on this topic. So usually what students do is they skip it, they don't read the topic as such, but you can pick up a small um, lucid notes by some institute, and you can just refer to it and prepare this topic, but do not leave anything as such, because if in the paper any question is asked like this, you would be stranded and you would end up leaving that question, so which will automatically make you far behind the other student by 1 or 2 marks. Thus it will hamper your marks also. Let's move on to the other topic now. Okay. After this, we have Parliament and state legislatures, structure, functioning, conduct of business, powers, and privileges. So again, for this, there's one book by Subhash Kashyap that you can refer. It's named Our Parliament. So this book actually has all the aspects of Parliament. They have discussed it at length, and the author of the book was himself. He had his long career related to Parliament itself. So you guys can trust that book and read it. Okay, if you don't have that book, you can again go through with the uh, Lakshmikant or DD Basu. There also all the provisions and everything have been written. But along with that, guys, you need to ensure that you are going through all the newspapers, you're reading current affairs, you're thorough with the current affair topics, so that in the paper, if something is asked, you have an edge. You have something from the current to write about in your answers. Okay, so you need to ensure that you are doing all this, right? Uh, the next topic is structure, organization, and functioning of executives, the judiciary, ministries, and department. Again, in this one, we need to read certain basic chapters. We need to read about the union executives, parliament, Supreme Court, executives in the state, that are the the chief minister, state council of ministers, then the state legislature. You need to read about the high courts, subordinate courts, supreme courts, then the local government, including urban, that's PRIs, and the local bodies, and the pressure groups also. All these things are there in Lakshmikant. You need to go through it one by one. And then you need to develop your notes through newspapers. You need to have a clear cut understanding of the topics. Okay, the day you have those clear cut understanding, there would be no question that you will leave unattempted. Okay, but while reading it, just don't try to understand the concept. Understanding the concept is one thing, but you also try to learn or memorize certain important articles that you can quote in your answers, right? For example, if I talk about this question that I said, finance commission. So if you write like article 280 in the constitution, it talks about this, it gives, and again, special powers of the president to appoint it. So if you write that article under which the president gets the special powers to appoint a finance commission on the recommendation of the honored cabinet. So you need to learn all those keywords, key articles, key report names and everything, for writing the mains answer. So that is going to give you an edge. If the question is for 15 marks, okay, you can easily score about like 10 marks or maybe around 9 if you write correctly, if you are quoting correct pointers there. Okay, now another one that I wanted to talk about. Okay, first let me see. I have a question here by Anurag Singh. Okay, so Anurag is asking, what do we do for current affairs like newspaper monthly compilation, etc. Okay, so Anurag, it's a very common question that usually the students ask about current affairs and how to cover them on daily basis. I would give you a very simple way out. Okay. First thing that you should do is you should pick up the newspaper every day. Okay. I suggest you read the Hindu or the Indian Express. Okay. You read through the important things. You read through your uh, editorials and the op-ed page. There are very important articles there. Go through them nicely. If you're able to make notes, make notes. If you have time, make notes. Towards the end of the month, each and every institute, coaching institute, including Saksham IAS, we are releasing our current affairs. So you go through that book, okay? That is what is going to revise whatever you read throughout the month, okay? While reading those things, you pick up the newspapers or whatever you have done throughout the month, okay? If you see any extra point, just add on to it. Just add on to the line that this is an extra point. Okay, just write that point there so that when you're revising during the exam time, you have your monthly compiled notes in form of those current affairs magazine. So that's how you can do it. Fine. You don't have to put like extra efforts that you have to read 3 newspapers, 4 newspapers. Just read one newspaper which you find is more lucid and good, uh, and along with that, you pick up any of the current affairs magazine which you think are giving you the maximum coverage. So that's how you can do. This is one way of doing the current affairs that will be most effective. Along with that, guys, you can also indulge into daily discussions on a newspaper group, the Saksham IS newspaper group. Please do not expect people you to spoon feed every time. What you can do is you can pick up, we have this group of 70 people and I see that nobody is conversing there, nobody is doing any discussion there. Do not expect people to throw things always spoon feeding you. If you want to discuss something, pick up a news article, start writing something on it. There would be the people would come back, I would come back and start discussing with you that these are the important points that can be done. Okay, let's say these days a lot of things have been discussed about model code of conduct. There are so many violations around model code of conduct. If I'm just giving an example. If you guys want, you can follow the same technique. And you pick it up in the morning that this is what I've read in the newspaper. See, this was printed for model code of conduct. And I believe that this should be done like that. So we can actually analyze the practices which the political parties are doing. We can talk about model code of conduct, we can talk about election commission, we can talk about state election commission, we can talk about political parties in that one topic itself. So it's just about initiating a discussion. These discussion groups are created for this purpose. Okay, these are not for spoon feeding. Fine. And current affairs can be done in this way: discussing them, reading them, and reading the monthly compilations, monthly magazines are of most importance. So you need to have an integrated approach, whether it's your prelims or your mains. Now, if you would have noticed in the whole discussion, I was talking about prelims and mains topics both. So if you are covering your mains syllabus, you're already covered your prelim syllabus. So once you start revising in, let's say, the month of February for your prelims, you would have read it twice or thrice already. Okay, you need to have an integrated approach. Okay, so guys, we have talked about uh, the structure and functioning of executive and judiciary ministries and departments. The next topic that comes is the salient features of Representation of People's Act. RPA, most important, most important for 2019 because of the general elections, and you can find RPA easily available on the internet. Okay, you can read it from there. You can also go through certain related topics from the Lakshmikant again. Okay, so these would be political parties, elections, voting behavior, election laws, reforms, the electoral reforms, anti-defection law, pressure groups for the previous one, and that's it. So these topics can be read along with RPA. RPA is available online. You can download it. I've shared the link on the group also. That's where you can find it and download. Okay. So rest of the topics, guys, uh, like for constitutional bodies, quasi judicial bodies, and everything, including the international relations, we will discuss tomorrow in tomorrow's session. If you have any queries and any feedbacks for me, do share it in the comments. And if you have any doubts, you can contact me on my WhatsApp. Uh, my WhatsApp number is 8447308407, or write me an email at info@sakshamias.com. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me today for this session. Have a great day. Bye bye.